know, India generates 25,940 tons of plastic waste every day. That is close to the weight of about 9,000 Asian elephants. Well, while India and the rest of the world is struggling with plastic waste management, one of the most important and recent steps that was announced by India and Prime Minister Narendra Modi was that of banning single-use plastic altogether. And that is why we are here today at United Nations Convention to combat desertification, land degradation and drought, to talk to environmentalists, people who care about the environment and who are working towards making this place better for not just for ourselves but for our future generations as well. Hello and welcome to Y Factor. Today we will be talking to a group of young enthusiasts who are actively working in the field of environment. Let's go talk to them. Like we told you, I am joined by a group of delegates, youngsters who have come from all across the world to take part in the United Nations Convention to combat desertification. Let's try and talk to them and try and understand from them what ails them about the environment and what is their contribution towards making environment better for us and for our generation. Hi, what's your name?
John Paul.
Where are you from?
I'm from Kerala.
John, you know, India, of course, has been struggling with and, of course, working towards making environment better, whether it's about plastic use or our oceans or our air pollution. What has been your contribution? How do you see this whole problem?
So we can see like a lot of issues we are addressing in India nowadays. When it comes to desertification, India has been said like we are going to restore the lands which got degraded, but we have to find the cause of degradation. So one can be industries or like climate change, like our emissions. So first we have to look into addressing these issues, like what is causing restorations, like desertification. So addressing this, what causes these issues is the one thing, and how we can revive from that. So we should look into both the sides.
Absolutely. Restoration and, of course, climate change is a huge challenge before us, before humankind. Hi, where are you from?
I'm Bartosz from Poland.
So, you know, you have also been working for quite a number of years towards environment and, you know, climate change. How do you see this problem, especially in terms of the desertification that we are talking about at the United Nations Convention?
Now the world is global and we have a global problem like desertification, and I have pleasure to meet minister from Poland during this COP in India, and he said something really clever, that with this problem what we have, we can solve only in our country, because we must find global solution. We must collaborate, we must meet, we must talk and find what we should do to solve the problem.
So right, absolutely. Like he said, all of us need to come together. It is a global problem and all of us need to come together to solve this. Of course, we have youngsters who are leading the way. Hi, what is your name?
Hi, I'm Sudeep Gimre from Nepal.
All right. So, you know, how do you see this climate change problem? Because it is a huge challenge that lies before us. And youngsters have to take that lead. All of us have to take that lead in combating this problem.
Yeah, exactly. This is a major challenge that we have been facing, and the people from the nations from the underdeveloped nations are like really vulnerable to the climate change because of many reasons. And for that combating climate change, we also have been working. We used to, everybody from every corner of the world should come up to give the hands. I represent Plant for the Planet, and we have been aiming to plant 1 trillion trees for this. And we have already planted more than 15 billion trees all across the world with the help of a lot of people, NGOs, organizations, and United Nations Environmental Program.
Right, you know, planting trees, of course, is one of the solutions to combat this problem. Where are you from?
My name is Juliet and I'm from Uganda.
All right, so, you know, the problem of desertification that we are talking about here, how do you see that? What do you think contributes to that? Of course, deforestation is one of the major factors that contributes to desertification and land degradation. But what are the other, you know, problems that you see that we are creating for the environment and especially contributing towards desertification of land?
I think our practices on the land are mainly the main factors of desertification, because many of us carry out different activities on our land, but then by the end of the day we don't know what impacts. Say I'm a farmer, and the kind of pesticides I'm using to make sure that my food grows, those might have an effect to the soils. But then because I have no idea of whatever it is that I'm doing, I'll not see those impacts till the future. So unless we understand what it is exactly that we are using our land for, only then will we understand what are the impacts or the effects that we are causing to the land.
Absolutely. She raised a very important point, an important section of human beings, humankind, which are affected by this, which is the farmers. And they need to use sustainable practices towards making the environment better. And here I have, in fact, somebody who is holding this placard of sustainability. Hi, what is your name?
My name is Chris Manani.
And where are you from?
I am from the US.
All right. So, sustainable practices is something that we all talk about. The United Nations talks about it. And now, every country of the world is talking about getting sustainable practices into the environment so that we can conserve our environment for not just us, but for our future generations as well. You, I'm sure, have been working in the area of environment for a number of years. How do you see these practices being used by world over?
So first off, I would like to say that indigenous people's practices aren't really seen as much as more of a Western style sustainable practices. And I believe that eventually indigenous people's sustainability practices will need to be put at the forefront of this movement, because as indigenous peoples, we have lived on this land a lot longer than anybody else. And so we know for a fact how the earth works and how the earth functions, and also how we need to incorporate these sustainable practices into our daily lives.
Absolutely. This is something that we all are talking about, and we need to get them into practice, not just talk about them. Hi, what is your name?
I'm Mary Jane Angel
And where are you from?
from Ghana.
All right, Ghana, we know that it is one of those parts of the world which does suffer from desertification, land degradation, and of course environmental problems. How do you see, the awareness amongst youngsters there? I'm sure with United Nations and of course countries across the world talking about this, there is an increased awareness about all these problems that lie before us.
Sure, there is a lot of awareness amongst the youth regarding the fact that land degradation and desertification is really affecting livelihoods. For instance, where I come from, we have almost 80% of the population living in the rural areas, and majority of them are the youth, who are also found into farming activities. And so once the lands or the soils are no longer fertile, it affects their livelihood. And these youth are forced to move out of where they are into the big cities, migrating from where they are to the big cities, causing a lot of issues like security, reduced in their income and all of that. So for me, I know that the youth are very much aware of the issues of desertification and how land degradation is really affecting their livelihood. And so they are also very poised back home to ensure that they enter into some form of what we call now climate smart agriculture, and some of them have enrolled in other tuition as to how they can also best help their society back home. So I think that the awareness is much greater back home.
And, you talked about migration due to desertification. As a woman, we know that women, not just in migration, but they do have issues, when it comes to environment. How do you see that? And, of course, as a woman, the challenges that we go through.
So let me give you an example. Back home, a lot of the women and the youth, one, are into farming. Secondly, they are the ones that go to look for a water resource, fetch water for their homes. And we are experiencing droughts and all the rivers are drying up. So one of the impacts on the youth and the women is the fact that they need to now travel long distances to get water for themselves. And if you're a student, you need to go to school, you miss classes and all of that. So especially the women are actually affected a lot because they are into all the household chores, and all of these are got from the land. So once the lands are no longer fertile, the water is no longer flowing and everything, it affects them because they need to now go back to get wherever they can find it. They go long distances to get it. And then a lot of the women, once they are going alone to get the water, especially some parts of the country, security issues, yes, some of them are raped and all of that, and education becomes, they are no longer interested to go to school, because by the time you come back from wherever you bring in the water from, the time for you to go to school is over.
Absolutely. So absolutely, like Mary Jane said, that it is not just about the environment, it's about youngsters and women feeling the ripple effects of desertification and climate change. Hi, what is your name?
Alvaro.
And where are you from, Alvaro?
I am from Chile, where the next COP25 is going to be.
All right, so, how do you see this, change in climate, global warming that we talked about, and especially youngsters in your country, what do they feel about this?
So we feel afraid a little bit, but also with the hope that we could do certain things to change this reality. That we could work in education, we could work in climate change issues, in different matters. It's people planting trees in Chile, it's people working with fishermen in Chile. It's a lot of work happening today. So the people is working a lot, is working hard to change this reality. So it's a thing, it's a big challenge, but at the same time it's an opportunity to work together, to be more empathic with the others, to work with the others, to be kind with the others. It's a time to confront this challenge in a good way, with hope and not with fear.
All right, so the opportunity does lie ahead of us, but of course we need to come together, we need to work together towards this. And in a world where Greta Thunberg has become the icon of voicing her opinion against climate change and urging world leaders to take action against climate change, I'm also joined by some girls who are studying forest research. They are talking about climate, they're studying climate, they're researching in it. You have been studying all of this, whether it is the forest cover in India or the flora and fauna of our forests. How do you see this problem, and where do you think we are faltering as youngsters in taking steps towards our environment?
Yes, the youngsters today are very much concerned about environment, and they are aware about the environmental problems that are affecting our earth today. But still, there are many problems which are restricting them to take much actions. Maybe one we can say they do not get that much academic support to take part in many other activities of NGOs.
But I think, events like these of the United Nations, where they are asking people to work towards environment, and especially talking about subjects like desertification, means that there is an increased awareness amongst not just the world leaders, but also amongst youngsters like all of you who have come today to participate in it. You are holding a placard of India for land. Where do you see, like I asked her, where do you see we're lacking in stopping land degradation and desertification and not working towards our environment?
Nowadays, development work is going on. So we are watching in hilly areas mostly that construction work is going on.
All right, so she's brought up an interesting topic, which is development versus environment. This is a debate that has always gone on. Can development happen at the cost of, should in fact development happen at the cost of our environment? Hi, where are you from?
Hi, I'm from Italy. I'm Fabio Coacci.
What is your take on this debate of development versus environment? We've always talked about it, that urban development, modern development is not happening as, sustainably as it should, and it is costing our environment dearly.
Yeah, I think that we are not dealing properly with the environment because that's a matter of fact that we are overexploiting the world, and maybe that's going to be unlivable for us. So I think we should stand together, both poor and above all developed countries, because they are the most responsible for the environmental degradation. So they have to stand together to fight against the issues and the harms of the environmental degradation, the pollution.
All right, I'm also joined by a few of the other delegates who the participants who are there at the convention. Guys, the Prime Minister always talks about conserving environment and development not at the cost of environment. As youngsters of a modern India, what do you feel about this, and how do you see environment conservation for not just ourselves but for our generations?
I would say that we are the youth who would be implementing the policies that are being framed right now. And in this convention, as we have heard, they're basically talking about restoration, and more importantly, we should talk about preventing this degradation, like conversion of forest lands to these for developmental purposes. Development is necessary, but not at the cost of environment.
And what's your take?
Definitely, I want to ponder the point upon the pace which is required for development is so fast that it is beyond the carrying capacity, and this is the main problem due to which our sustainability is not dealt with properly. So development, as she said, is very necessary for ourselves and for the world with the changing climate.
All right, environment is something which includes not just land degradation, but we're also talking about global warming, about our marine life, about our air pollution, about the number of aspects of life that environment damage can affect. And one of the important things which Prime Minister also raised is banning single-use plastic altogether. Let's try and talk to them because, youngsters are taking a forward step in it. They are leading it. Single-use plastic is something that is so dangerous for all of us, and we in fact should stop using it. How do you guys, what is it that you guys are doing to stop that usage in our daily day-to-day lives?
So one single-use plastic is like plastic bottles, as we can say. So I carry my own bottle, like fill up when it's get over. So also when I go for shopping, I carry my own cloth bag. And also I try to stop buying things which are like highly packed in plastics. In supermarkets there are even things like pineapple or like orange, then bananas packed in plastics. They already have a package of natural package, so we don't need another one.
Yes, in fact, plastic bottles is something very interestingly and very unfortunately, one plastic water bottle takes 400 years to decompose. So all of us have to really rethink about the kind of equipments and containers that we are using in our day-to-day lives. How are you guys tackling this problem of plastic usage and single-use plastic?
Okay, for me, back home, we've also identified it as a challenge because once it goes into the land, it makes you can't be able to, grow crops on the land again. So what we are doing currently is that we are in partnership with our government to try to come up with policies that can actually limit the use of plastic waste. We have a challenge because a lot of the people are using it. So we have to find a way of trying to let them understand or advocate more to let them understand the impact of it. So now the legislation is ongoing, the discussion is ongoing as to how best we can handle it back home. Yeah.
Yes, in fact, on social media, we do see very, very sad, tragic videos of marine life being affected by our plastic usage. We've got videos of, whales, of dolphins coming out of the ocean, their dead bodies being filled with the plastic that we are throwing into our oceans. What are you doing and how do you see this problem of plastic usage across the world?
We must try find a way how to reduce plastic in daily life, like buying the drinks in multi-use bottles, like take material back to the shop when you can use a lot of times. But I think that it's not enough. We must be ban for products, a lot of plastics, bags and boxes, because it will be a terrible problem for future generation.
Yes, plastic bottles, plastic bags, and in fact, even our online shopping parcels have been, criticized for using plastic in a very big way and contributing to our environment damage. We see a lot of plastic being there, and plastic waste management is something that none of the countries has actually come up with a solution about. How do you see that?
I mean, of course, like you pointed out, plastic issue is a big issue, and it's also one of the issues that has received in last couple of years global media attention, that there are plastic bans being implemented in different countries, including in the state that we are in, which has banned single-use plastic. So when we tackle the issue of plastic, I think what's important is that we tackle it from source to end. Like where it is being generated until the point where either it's been discarded or putting into recycling or whatever mechanisms you are using it. If you look at the broader intergovernmental processes on microplastics and oceans specifically, so UN Environment is trying to come up with a marine litter treaty. So similar Paris Agreement kind of a style of model or a treaty on microplastics and marine litter. But of course, it's not an issue that is enjoying a lot of consensus. There are of course concerns that countries that actually are not on the oceans, that are landlocked, they do not see this much as a concern. But of course, countries that have coastal lines or small island states, for them this becomes a major problem.
Yes, in fact, plastic usage, unfortunately, if we look at the stats, half of India's plastic waste comes from our metropolitan cities, and that is something that we all should be concerned about. Where are you from?
Yeah, I'm from Maharashtra. Nasik.
All right. So, Mumbai is one of the contributors, so to say, towards our plastic waste. How do you see that problem in your state, and what are the steps that are being taken to tackle this plastic waste management?
Yeah. So plastic waste is indeed a concern, and the government has recognized that. And considering that they have already banned plastic bags in our state. However, there is a lot of awareness within the NGOs as well. We have seen that people like Afro Shah, the young people are coming out, stepping up. And the Versova Clean Beach, the cleanup movement is one of the world's largest movement, and for which he was rewarded as well. So good things are happening, and as my friend said, that consumption-based plastic use should also stop. And the issue is not just about plastics, but it's also microplastics which have entered our ocean. It is said that more than 90% of aquatic species of the plant have some element of microplastics in it. That's a huge concern for us. So we all should be collectively working towards, and the youth have a major say in this. So reduce, reuse, recycle and refuse.
Even in India, we had this 2016 plastic waste management rules that were there, which held states responsible for all the plastic waste that is generated in their states, and of course disposing them off carefully and responsibility. And then it was amended in 2018, where not just the states, state governments, but manufacturers, producers, consumers, all of them were collectively held responsible for any plastic waste management that had to be done in their respective states. We're talking about plastic usage, about single-use plastic, and how the world is coming together to ban all of that. How is Italy dealing with the problem?
Italy is dealing pretty well. For example, we replaced the plastic bag at the supermarket with the one with the paper. And actually we have a good policy at the European level, which is like dealing this process to delete plastic. Indeed, there is a program that by 2030, all the European countries should replace totally the plastic, so that it's gonna be plastic free.
Hello and welcome to Why Facts, our special segment where we will bring you some known and unknown facts of the day. I am Shivali Khari, and with me is Vikas Kumar, and we will bring you what all Prime Minister Narendra Modi said in UNCCD COP14. Prime Minister Narendra Modi reaffirmed India's commitment towards the three major concerns of Rio Convention, which are biodiversity, climate change and desertification.
UNCCD के COP14 को संबोधित करते हुए प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने कहा कि जैव विविधता और जलवायु परिवर्तन पर भारत विश्व के साथ खड़ा है और इसके साथ कार्य करने को तैयार है.
In order to streamline its efforts, India is not just going for different global gatherings, but it is also ready to boost greater South-South cooperation.
प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने अपने संबोधन में कहा कि जैव विविधता, जलवायु परिवर्तन और भूमि संरक्षण पर भारत अलग-अलग स्तर पर कार्य कर रहा है.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi also said that India is happy to help other friendly countries with the information from cost-effective satellites and space technology.
अपने संबोधन में प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने कहा कि भारत पानी को बचाने और पानी के सही इस्तेमाल के लिए आगे बढ़ चुका है, जिसके तहत भारतीय सरकार ने जल शक्ति मंत्रालय का गठन भी किया है.
PM Modi also advocated the idea of having a global technical support university for the members of UNCCD, which will help them in their capacity building and support their land restoration program.
अपने संबोधन में पीएम मोदी ने कहा कि भारत ने अपने ग्रीन क्षेत्र को बढ़ाया है, जिसके तहत 2015 और 17 में भारत के वन क्षेत्र में बढ़ोतरी हुई है.
Acknowledging the importance of water in our daily lives, PM Modi urged the world community to have a global water action agenda.
प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने सिंगल यूज प्लास्टिक के खिलाफ जंग छेड़ दी है और विश्व से आह्वान किया है कि वह भी इस जंग में शामिल हो.
All of us need to be educated in this matter, to act in an effective way and to work together.
We need to get out of our comfort zones. We need to be able to travel to different parts of the world and learn and get outside of the box that we're always stuck in. We need to be able to go out, experience new things, learn new things so that we're able to grow.
First of all, environment knows no political boundaries. We are one. Therefore, this action which we take has to be unanimous. We cannot think in narrow mindsets or narrow political boundaries.
A country like India, which is having a population of youngsters more than the 60% all over the globe. So what thing we can do is by taking small changes, we youth can lead to a big change that can change and lead as an example for the other countries.
It's our earth. We are the ones who will be, responsible for what's going to happen to us.
Absolutely, it's our earth and we are responsible for it. We should protect her, we should save her environment, and yes, we should be the last generation that is tackling the challenge of climate change, global warming, and world leaders need to come together. All of us need to come together at an individual level, at a community level, and work towards saving our environment, not just for us, but our future generations as well. This is it in Y Factor this time. You can catch us again next week with another interesting episode. But till then, you can send us your feedback at yfactorddnews@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at DD News Live. Thanks very much for joining us this time. Namaskar.